Tomorrow is the day your very first corporate interview. You look down at your CV and your stomach drops. You have a degree, maybe a short internship, and a few university projects. That's it. You are terrified because you are walking into a room full of seasoned executive and you feel like an absolute fraud. You are already rehearsing your apologies, and I know I don't have much experience yet, but I am a very fast learner. Stuck. Breathe and erase that sentence from your vocabulary forever. If you walk into your first interview apologizing for being a fresher, you are immediately framing yourself as a liability. You are projecting the energy of a student begging a professor for a passing grade. But the corporate world is not a university, and the hiring managers are not your professor. They know you do not have 10 years of experience. They read your CV. They invited you anyways. Why? Because they are not looking for your past, they are looking to purchase your future velocity. Today, we are completely dismantling the student mindset. I'm going to show you exactly how to walk into your first interview not as a terrified graduate, but as a young career architect. I'll give you the exact frameworks to translate your academic projects into a corporate value, how to answer intimidating behavioral questions without sounding naive, and how to leave an indelible mark of authority on decision makers who are twice your age. Grab a notebook. Class is officially dismissed. Your career starts now. Welcome back. I'm Dr. HR. For those of you who are new to my ecosystem, let me explain exactly why my frameworks work and why they sound so radically different from the generic advice you get from your university career counselor. I do not view careers through an emotional lens. I engineer them. My foundation is actually a bachelor's in computer engineering. I look at recruitment as an algorithm, a system, and a structural negotiation. I paired that aggressively engineering mindset with a master's in human resources from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai, and I eventually earned my PhD in HR. I have been on the ground here in Dubai since 2010. Operating in one of the most ruthless, transient, and hyper-competitive economic hubs on the planet. I have worked with over 20 different companies across this region, serving as both a full-time employee and a high-level strategic consultant. I have sat across the table from I know exactly why the 22 years old get hired on the spot. It has everything to do with your leverage. Here is a blueprint to building that leverage from absolute zero. Phase 1, the no experience paradigm shift. The biggest psychological hurdle you face is the belief that a lack of experience is a fatal flaw. We give you a secret from other side of the desk. Experience is expensive, and when experience comes with heavy baggage, senior professionals often have outdated legacy habits. They're difficult to train and they fight adaptation. When an organization opens a junior requisition, they're specifically looking for a blank slate. They are looking for a high energy, raw intellectual processing power and absolute adaptability. They want someone they can mold into their specific corporate DNA. Your lack of experience is not a weakness. It is your ultimate selling point. Providing you a frame is as a velocity of learning. Never apologize for being a fresher. When they say, "We see you just a graduate," your response is not a defensive excuse. Your response is an offensive strike. Yes, because I'm coming directly out of a highly intensive academic environment. My ability to absorb complex new data, unlearn outdated protocol, and adapt to your tech stack is currently at its absolute peak. I do not have a legacy habit to unlearn. I'm ready to execute your exact framework. You have just flipped the script. You have turned a perceived negative into an aggressive corporate asset. Phase 2, translating academic ROI. The interviewer will ask you, "Tell me about the time you handled a difficult project because you are a student." Your instinct will be to talk about a group presentation in your marketing class. You will say, "Well, my group members didn't do his work, so I had to stay up late and finish the PowerPoint myself." To a hiring manager managing millions of dirhams, that sounds like a trivial high school compliant. You must translate your academic experience into corporate ROI, return on investment. You must speak the language of business. Treat every major university project as if it were a corporate sprint. Use the architectural framework: context, complexity, and output. Here is how a career architect answers. During my final year capstone project, I acted as a lead researcher for a team of 4. The core complexity was that we had a strict 3 months deadline and a conflicting data set regarding supply chain sustainability. Instead of just dividing the work manually, I have implemented an agile workflow using Notion and a basic AI data sorting tools to organize our research. Because of that structural approach, we eliminated redundant tasks, met the deadline 2 weeks early, and our final output was selected by the faculty as the top presentation of the cohort. It taught me how to manage human bottlenecks and I leverage technology to hit strict deadlines. You didn't talk about getting a good grade. You talked about managing bottlenecks, implementing workflows, and hitting deadlines. You sounded like a manager, not a student. Phase 3, the behavioral defense, the weakness question. At some point, they are going to test your awareness. They will ask, what is your biggest weakness? As a fresher, this is a dangerous trap. If you say, I'm a perfectionist, they will roll their eyes and they'll say, if you say I'm struggle with time management, they will immediately reject you. The most powerful, authoritative answer a fresher can give is the truth, delivered clinically. Your biggest weakness right now is simply a lack of corporate context. Own it, but immediately shows them the system you have built to neutralize your response. My biggest gap right now is simply practical corporate context. While my foundations is extremely strong, I know that navigating the nuances of a live, cross-functional corporate environment is a different game. To mitigate that risk, my immediate strategy for my first 90 days is an aggressive observation and documentation. I plan to identify the top performer in the department, map out their workflows, and ask highly targeted questions to close my context gap as rapidly as possible. This is a masterclass answer. It shows massive maturity, deep self-awareness, and proves you already have a strategic plan for your own onboarding. Phase 4, reversing the room, the fresher edition. The interview is wrapping up. They look at you and ask, do you have any questions for us? If you ask, what are the working hours or how much does this pay? You instantly label yourself as an entry-level guy. To leave a lasting indelible impression, you must ask questions that demonstrate you are thinking about your impact on their bottom line. Ask them 2 specific questions. 1, the 90-day metric. I know the first 3 months are critical for a new hire to transform from a trainee to a contributor. If I am sitting in this seat 90 days from now, what specific measurable outcomes must I achieve for you to say hiring them was a massive win for our team? 2, the feedback loop. The high velocity learning requires fast course correction. How does this specific team prefer to give and receive constructive feedback during our high pressure project? When a 22-year-old asks these questions, the hiring manager jaw drops. You have completely separated yourself from 50 other terrified graduates they interviewed that week. You are talking like a future leader. Phase 5, the exit and the 24 hours protocol. Do not ruin a brilliant interview with a weak exit. Do not profusely thank them for giving you a chance. Stand up, maintain eye contact, offer a firm handshake, and execute the certainty close. I really appreciate the transparency today regarding your STEAM upcoming goals. I'm highly confident that my drive and theoretical foundations can be immediately weaponized to support this department, and I look forward to the next steps. Then exactly 24 hours later, you send the synthesis email. As a fresher, you might not have the grand strategy to solve their biggest corporate problem, but you have proven you listen better than anyone else. The follow-up. Hi, interview name. I appreciated our conversation yesterday, particularly your insight on how the team is managing the specific challenge discussed. I actually went home and read a recent case study on that exact topic, which reinforced why your approach is so critical. I'm highly motivated by the structure of your team and look forward for the possibility of contributing. Best regard, and your name. You are not begging for a status update. You are demonstrating intellectual curiosity and proactive value. The closing remarks now. So look at me. Your career is not defined by experience you currently lack. It is defined by the architecture you are willing to build. You do not wait 10 years to command respect in a corporate boardroom. You command it today by the way you speak, the way you frame your value, and the dignity with which you conduct your business. Stop asking for a permission to be a professional. Step into the room and act like one. If you want exact AI prompt networking frameworks, and negotiation tactic to build a dominant trajectory from day one. My brand new book, The 2026 Career Architect, is officially live and available for download right now on namaste.ai. This is not a textbook, it's a corporate survival guide. Download it, study it, and start engineering your future. Walk into that room tomorrow and own it. Process the blip, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at the top. I'll see you